the consumer is going out there looking for a percentage on this package, but that's not the measuring stick. The measuring stick should be, if you open this up, does it look good? Does it smell good? Is it protected? Like, what is inside of this? And I can't show this to my customers in the store because it's against the law.
What's your best way to smoke? I'm rolling smoke like I ain't had enough. What's your best way to smoke? I'm rolling smoke like I ain't had enough.
What's up with y'all out there? This is the Best Way to Smoke podcast, and you smoking with Big J.
Yep, and Serpo, your favorite smoking partner.
And C-Pop, your professional hype woman. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and tell a friend.
Please believe.
And today we have a special guest with us, the Director of Operations for AJ's Flower. Help me welcome Miss Victoria.
Booyaka, booyaka. You know what I'm saying?
Welcome. How are you doing?
Well, how you doing today?
Good.
Thank you guys for having me.
For
Of
sure.
course,
We
of
appreciate you
course.
pulling up.
Of course, I'm really excited to be here. You guys got me at a time where I haven't talked to anybody in a while.
And you ready?
So yeah, I'm ready.
Let's
Ready
do
to
it.
talk.
Let's do it. And look, before we get into the show, we always do the best way to smoke tip. So when we have a guest, we ask the guest to give the people their best way to smoke tip. So Victoria, what's your best way to smoke tip for the people?
My best way to smoke is have a clean bong. That's
right.
it. And
Facts.
it will all make sense as we go through our discussion. But a clean bong is everything. You don't want to inhale mold and mildew. It's that simple.
Facts.
That's
totally
important.
agreeable. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, before you dig in, you know what I'm saying? My first thought, before you even hit the mold part, I was just like,
Right?
I was just like, shit, I don't want to be tasting no ash. I'd rather just taste proper flower.
Amen. That too. But that is the least important.
Tell us more. Tell us more. Please tell us
No
more.
sport. Yeah.
I mean, so I'll tell you guys a little bit about my background.
Okay.
I have been in cannabis testing in the state of California since it was legalized, literally since day one of 2018. And so I've worked with some of the biggest brands and some of the smallest brands to make sure their products get through regulatory testing. And the thing about cannabis is it's grown in soil with water in humid conditions, which are ideal for mold and mildew to grow in.
Facts.
So cannabis has a propensity to have that present in the product, right? So it's one of the things the state tests for. But just because a certain part of it passed doesn't mean it wasn't in another bud, in another part of the batch that didn't get tested. When you smoke all that and you put it in the bong with water, and then maybe you let the bong sit for a day or two before you hit it again, guess what just grew in it?
Oh.
Yes.
Right.
Because
Never thought about
it
that.
colonizes
I knew I didn't like pipes for a
instantly.
reason.
It colonizes
You knew I didn't like
instantly
pipes for a reason.
Right, because it attracts the moisture and all that stuff.
if
too.
it's there. And
Right.
so you want to clean a bong. That's just all it is. Clean your bong regularly. Don't let it get black and dirty and be like, what's at the bottom of this? If the water is brown,
Right.
do not do it.
Man, I see a lot of videos too with people that be
Got water
blowing.
look like-
Oh, I'm about
and they
to
be
judge like a
brown and with the little
motherfucker.
rings.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
that's a no-no.
Yeah.
Got to tell them in the comments, put the mold down.
I love Hey, really, it's like the way you breaking that down now, I low-key want to, like, you know what I'm saying, like,
Yeah.
hit myself on back of the head.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because like my previous line of work, you know what I'm saying, I actually went out and tested for like mold,
Yep.
spores, and all
know
that type
this.
shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And those are the exact conditions.
Yeah.
She
So
just
you're like,
breaking it
that's
down like that.
interesting,
Like,
right.
you know what I'm saying? I'm in a whole different field, you know what I'm saying, testing for that. But the way you break
Yep.
that down just for a bone,
There's no
you know what I'm saying?
difference.
It's actually
True.
there's no difference really. You know what I'm saying? It grows right there. Sheesh.
That is,
Back of the
wow.
head.
But we as smokers, we don't think about these things. And the general
Right.
consumer just doesn't, they don't have access to a lot of this education. Honestly, it's hard to make one point connect to the other when you're thinking about all of this.
Especially when it's still cannabis in general is such a gray area. Like people don't it's barely legal, you know what I'm saying, if we want to really like take it to a federal level. So it's just like, how are you gonna have all these, well, if you're gonna smoke, do it responsibly and blah 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? Like it's almost like talking to your teenager about sex. Like
Right.
this ain't, we don't want you to do this, but I
put
mean
a condom on.
That's exactly
Be
what
safe.
it's like. That's exactly what it's like. So I am one of those nerds who goes and listens to public commentary with the state of California, right? And so they just did a meeting on like December 21st. And so the first 30 minutes of the meeting, they leave it open to the public to say whatever they want to say, right? And we should be talking about meaningful things. But you know who shows up? Madison, who says that we should be concerned about smoking cannabis while we're pregnant. And she really wants more education around that kind of information. And then who else shows up is Karen talking about the ingestion of cannabis by minors because it's left out by parents. And so we're having these conversations, and there's responsibility by parents on this, first of all. Like, you should be talking to your kids about this. Like, why are we not having these conversations with our kids about them? But there's also a lack of understanding about cannabis, which that just shows, like, the general consumer is so worried about these superficial things when on a federal level, we cannot research if cannabis hurts babies or not.
Right.
Because it's not federally legalized. So
federally
you cannot
legal,
say that as a fact because there has not been enough studies to really say. Because I would say arguably that there's plenty of women out there who suffer from, it's called like hypermesis gravidarium. Like you're throwing up the whole time.
Right.
You can't keep anything down. You're losing weight.
My wife went through that with with both kids though, especially with my son.
And you smoke a little weed and all of a sudden you can keep something down. And I would argue that's probably healthier for a baby than the mom throwing up and not getting any nutrients.
Or even maybe a tincture.
Right? Like,
you know, if you're concerned about smoke, which is understandable, they have tinctures, you know, things like that.
The conversation's so big to have, and like we're just using all the wrong measuring sticks to have this conversation is what I feel.
Right. So look, tell everybody where you from and how did you find your love for cannabis though, and like how old were you and stuff?
So I'm from East LA. My family is from El Monte. Okay. And my love for cannabis, I have such a weird story with it. So my real dad, he went to jail for drugs, selling cannabis. Some of my earliest memories are drug transactions that I should not have been a part of.
Right, right.
So I went through school being exposed to DARE, and then all of a sudden thinking everything about this drug was bad. Like, it fucked up my head. Like, in a way. Yeah. Yeah, there was judgment. There was actually, it was worse for my mom, who was the single mom working 2 jobs, putting me through a private school, and she smoked a little pot, and I'd be like, "You're a drug addict."
No, I'm trying to relax.
Right.
You going to private school, Mija?
Literally.
Don't worry about this little joint.
It created issues, but I saw my mom smoking continuously through my childhood. At age 15, she caught me smoking, and she gave me the go-ahead. Let me be honest. She just gave me the go-ahead. Do it. It's not going to hurt anything. She basically said if it's not white or a powder or a pill, you're straight.
Shout out to Mom.
Right.
Yeah, for being innovative like that and saying, yeah. How old were you?
I was 15.
15, okay.
I was a straight A student. Like, there was nothing that she had to worry about.
Right, right.
So I fell in love with it. I started growing it in my closet, and eventually I got in trouble. When you was
15?
Yeah.
She been knew the best way to smoke.
Right.
First in, like,
I was like, she sees dollar signs. She's like, this is my baby.
Right.
She knew. I fell instantly in love with it. I read a book by a grower whose name is Todd McCormick. He's still really popular today. And it was How to Grow Marijuana. And it teaches you a 3-room system. And it's like the basics, right?
Okay.
And I copied it. And
how successful was that? Because it's a very bougie plant.
It was not successful for a 15 through a 17-year-old. But it sustained like my personal use. right?
Right.
Okay.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. But I knew that cannabis had a future because I'm going to pat myself on the back.
That's
I'm
right.
smart. I got a job doing product testing, and I jokingly tell people I light buildings on fire for a living. And that's what I did. I made sure companies like Dow Chemical, all these other huge companies could get through regulatory compliance.
Right.
And so once I understood what regulatory compliance meant, the laws within all of the nation started changing
Yeah.
to allow for legal cannabis. And so what I did was I told that lab, we should start testing cannabis. And they looked at me like I was crazy. And so I quit my job. I came to California. I got a job at CannaSafe, and I did quite a bit of sales for them in the first year and a half.
Yeah.
And that's how I got to legal cannabis. Now
How much in sales would you say?
I did
If you were to
between
guess
$6 and $7 million in sales that first year and a half, and I was pregnant in 2019.
Can we get a round of applause for that?
Man, for real, for
$6
real.
million in sales. What?
A quick regulatory question. You know what I'm saying? As far as like the regulatory guidelines, how much do they differ per region?
Incredibly different from region to region. It's basically the term I would use is it's a patchwork. Like it's like a quilt. We all have different laws, and none of them make sense to the situation at all. We've eliminated a medical market and focused completely on recreational.
Right.
And then the recreational market isn't even successful because we still have most consumers going to the black market, where I will tell you 100% that weed has pesticides, it has microbials, it has heavy metals. Because if I could sell it legally, and I'm not saying me personally,
Quote unquote.
Right.
but
Allegedly.
if
Allegedly.
a person, a cultivator could sell it legally, they would.
Look, the song, you know what I'm saying? I got 5 on it. You know what I'm saying? The bud we was getting back then. You know what I'm saying? From the knowledge you acquired now. Was that bud back then like contaminated?
Yes, 100%.
So we was getting high off of
You don't feel like
soil.
it was cleaner than what we got going
No.
on now?
Because all
People
of the
didn't
same
know.
growers that were growing then are still growing now. Okay. And what they'll tell you is the things that they've learned. And when they first started growing, they were using something called Eagle 20. And what Eagle 20 is the pesticide meant for like tomatoes and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's safe. You spray it on the outside of a tomato, you wash it off, it's good to go. You can't wash
Wash
off
the
a
weed.
bud. Yeah. So you
can't
take-
do-
Yeah, but don't
You
they like
combust it.
don't they spray
Huh.
some of that stuff on there to keep some other stuff away from the plant?
So yes, they do. And if you really look at cannabis right now, there's two different worlds. There's outdoor cannabis, which they're really concerned about pesticides, right? Because they're trying to grow in native soil. They're trying to grow outdoors where planes with pesticides are flying by. Indoor cannabis, which we grow, my brand. So that's AJ's, my husband's my brand.
Shout out to AJ.
Sage's
AJ.
flower.
Premium
Yep.
quality.
Yes, yes.
We don't use pesticides in our grow at all. And the reason why is because we're indoors, right? So like there's so many less variables that we have to
Right.
contend with. I know I'm going to put them in a cube. I know what I'm going to feed them. I
Right.
know what I'm going to spray on them. I know that nothing's going to come into my facility so long as I'm taking care of my air conditioning and my water, all of these things. It's more controlled. And honestly, it's probably the way cannabis is going to go moving forward because I don't see how outdoor cannabis is sustainable long term.
Right, right.
So
As far as the lab, like working in the lab, what tests are generally performed for the cannabis to test it for it to pass?
So they are required by the state of California to test for potency. That includes your terpene profile. And then they need to pass microbials, which is aspergillus, various strains of aspergillus, and salmonella, because
That's a killer.
we forget that we're creating food products with some of this cannabis, like gummies and Rice Krispies and things like that.
right.
So salmonella. We're testing for heavy metals, cadmium, arsenic, lead, mercury. We're testing for a very large list of pesticides. And then we're testing for something called mycotoxins. And mycotoxins, I can't even really explain that, but they come from the microbials.
Right.
So if and they're actually worse than the microbials. That's it. That's all you got to pass for, on top of visual
Sounds
or
like a
foreign
bacteria,
inspection.
right? Mycotoxins is a form of a bacteria.
It
kinda?
can be. It actually comes from the microbials breaking apart. They're
Right.
called afloxacins, and it's something you breathe in and you don't want it. And that's
Got it.
the surface level of what I know.
So for all those who are always asking, I get a lot of times people are like, what's the difference between outdoor and indoor cannabis? Victoria is giving us that right now. You have a little bit more control of what is getting into your plant, which is ultimately what's getting into your body.
Facts.
Yes.
So look, the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, they allow a certain amount of bugs or this and that in foods, in certain foods and stuff like that. So when it comes to cannabis, is there percentages of them different things that's allowed to be in there?
So yes, we are there. There can be pesticides at a very, very low limit. Heavy metals at a very, very low limit in our pesticides, right? Because the state has determined limits. And if you're under the limit, you pass.
Yeah.
The state of California, actually, this is where our regulation is really good, right? Because they approached it with the viewpoint of truly what is safe for the public.
Right.
Other states like Missouri, New York, they just said, this is what the EPA put out there. We're just going to put these things together, and that's the limit. But California really approached this in a meaningful way with the limits. But what they didn't think about was that every lab was going to buy different sets of equipment, because the sets of equipment range from $100,000 to $300,000.
Right.
Every lab was going to have different people running the machines with different levels of experience, right? Because now you're talking about paying someone's salary.
Right.
Do you want to pay someone entry level, or do you want to pay someone who's like, no, I want $200,000 a year to do your scientific reporting
Right.
because I have a master's.
Right.
So they didn't take that into account. And then on top of that, they didn't provide any oversight for the last 6 years.
So people are just getting away with what they want to.
Because the labs were financially incentivized to allow things to pass to consumers. And so consumer public safety was greatly affected in the last few years because the DCC couldn't do their job.
And as far as testing, that comes straight from the grower it's supposed to come straight from the grower to the test lab.
No. So the grower actually is not responsible for testing their cannabis at all. Oh. They want it to they want it to pass, right? But it's the distributor, the person who's actually putting this weed in a bag, that's responsible for the testing. And so there are distributors who don't cultivate. Right. And there are cultivators who also distribute. Right. We're a cultivator who also distributes. So I am responsible for my own testing because I grow this and I can also distribute it.
That's the best way, though.
It is.
That's the best way to do it.
How do you determine the potency? How is that tested? You know what I'm saying? Once the plant, it's out there,
So the way potency is tested is bullshit. It should not be released to consumers at all. But we're required to by the law that was written. So what happens is, this batch of Don P, I grew 50 pounds of it, right? The lab comes in and they take 88 grams of that 50 pounds. Those 88 grams they make into one sample, and then they test it, and they basically are giving it an average percentage of what it is. So this bag is certainly different percentage-wise than what the COA says, because this isn't the sample that was tested. There's no way they can ever match.
As far as that method of testing, from out that whole batch, do they go do they grab some from here, grab some from there, here like this? Because when I went out and do certain say lead testing, I have to test something here, test something there, here in random spots. Because some may be heavy over here, light over here, so on and so on. You know what I'm saying? And then you can generalize it that way. Y'all do it the same?
So I do it the same because I purposely choose to test at Infinite Labs, which is the hardest lab in California to pass at.
Shout out to them. That's good that they're the hardest lab.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
They're strict. They're stringent.
For sure.
They're a great lab. They have a great reputation. So if I wasn't testing at Infinite, I could make sure that the lab that came and tested, they got the best looking buds, those A buds that are always going to have the highest potency, right? Because a lot of labs don't want to spend the time to sample as randomly as Infinite is doing. If I make Infinite random sample from an R&D batch, they charge me $100 just to do the sampling on top of the test.
Man, I know about the sampling price.
Yeah.
Man.
It's expensive because they have the fee for their hourly on their employees.
Man.
So I get it, right?
Going there with 20 different samples.
But it costs more to do things right. And we eat that cost because, like, I'm really adamant that I want our potency to be accurate in the long term.
Right.
Because I believe the quality, when you look, feel, smell my bud, it's there.
That's right.
That's
That's
what I
right.
like.
I have a question. The state of California, how does it go with their testing when it comes as far as like pesticides? They test for.
So there's 66. I can't name all of them, but like the big ones are myclobutanol, paclobutanol, spinosad. Like these are the key
Butanol.
ones.
But they test for 66 pesticides.
They do.
How many would you
Out of
say
each.
That's a lot.
How many would you say the plant carries?
So our plant has no pesticides in it because I can actually.
hold on.
How many?
The AJ.
Right. That's right.
Man.
Or how many pesticides would
I
I
don't believe in
is there?
pesticides.
I should say.
So there's thousands of pesticide combinations. Thousands. Right now, there's only 2 labs in the state of California that can test for like 300 plus pesticides.
Okay.
We've done that test. It's called a Category 4 test. It's not confirmed by the state. It's literally something cultivators are doing on their own to show I can pass 300 plus pesticides. And we've
But
done
Cali
that
only tests for 66.
for 66
Through 2 labs.
Okay.
through 2 labs. Now, I will tell you, I think that's appropriate because the reality is if you can pass for those 66, you're probably not using those other pesticides.
Okay.
Are those 2 labs, you know what I'm saying? Is it enough for like for California's growing market?
Yes,
You know what I'm saying?
it is.
You don't think they over flooded like as far as testing and stuff like that?
They did not.
So no testing should be like delayed.
So this is what happened in 2018 when I started at CannaSafe. There were like 49 labs that were operating. So there was a lot of competition,
49?
right?
Popped in, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of competition.
And I'm
And
supposed to-
these labs are huge investments, right? They're like at least $1 million. Our lab was an $8 million investment to get it operating. And so the labs immediately
care.
started charging like $700 to $800 for a test, right? And we were getting that money. People are willing to pay that $700 to $800 a test. But pretty soon labs started shutting down because they're very expensive to operate.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so as the labs started shutting down, our prices started commoditizing. And so there's just less labs because we have less money to work with. And it actually saves you money to do things the right way. It costs you more money to lie on your tests, actually.
Man.
Right.
And then there's too many people involved in the lie.
That's
Man.
like just to speak on that, just that lie, right? Like the scenario, you know what I'm saying? Pops always tell you, like, man, if you do it right and tell the truth the first time,
Yep.
you won't have to, you know what I'm saying,
Yep.
do it a second time or try to back up your lie.
Yep. Yeah. It's the truth. It is the absolute truth. And we've suffered from that as consumers. Because first and foremost, I'm a consumer. I
That's
love
right.
going into dispensaries and buying weed and trying new brands. And I discover things all the time that I'm super impressed with.
Man.
But I also have a lot of distrust when I know the labs that have tested them.
Mm.
I know when we talked to you on the phone and stuff, you were saying like sometimes like you'll go out and somebody will try to pass you something and you be like, no offense though, but
Be a little bougie.
I'm
with my
cool
weed.
though. I'm gonna
love
smoke
it.
my own. You know what I'm saying?
I love it.
Frequently happens.
Right.
Frequently happens. Especially with vapes, like, God.
Yes, tell
Let's
us.
dive into that.
Can you tell us why it like
Oh.
you know what I'm saying? Some of my
So you're not a vape fan at all?
At all.
Okay. Let us know why.
At all. So if we just talk about the hardware, terpenes themselves leach heavy metal from the hardware. So you can get mercury and all of that stuff in a product that didn't have it just because it sat too long on the shelf. There's no shelf life testing that's required by the state of California. So a dispensary can buy a vape today and it not sell the last one till 8 months from now. And you're going to tell me that's the same product
Right.
8 months later? We don't
With
know
all
that.
this weather change and AC on, heat
We
on.
don't know
like-
that unless we require shelf life testing, and the state does not require shelf life testing.
So it's just like even like you buy a vape at home and just say you only hit it when you going out somewhere in public and you keeping it for that long.
Yep.
It's the same
Time frame.
thing.
The same thing. Exactly the same thing.
Wow, I'm throwing mine away.
Look, this is why I like communitizing. Our
Yeah.
word best way to smoke came in with communitizing because it's like talking and speaking with you. It's like past actual like work experience. They teach me that. You know what I'm saying? And those are actually practices.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? I will practice out in the field.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's why like right now talking to him, I'm like, man, I need to kick myself in the you know what, so many different times.
You have
Because
the
I know
knowledge.
better.
Right,
Yep.
right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like sheesh.
So what
And I got a new respect for the connoisseur and the enthusiast.
For
Yes.
sure.
The
There's a
connoisseur
difference.
is way different from the enthusiast, and you're more so, I believe, on the enthusiast side.
Yeah.
You know
I
what I'm
appreciate
saying?
that.
And that's too of an importance to the community.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
We need that.
Seriously.
Yeah.
She's
Yep.
like, I don't just like my weed, I love my weed. And let me tell
Man.
you why. Let me scientifically break this down for you right quick. You know?
Oh, people will hate me for it because I have
We don't.
friends.
We
Thank
don't.
you.
We
For
said,
sure. We
please
like the
educate
information.
us.
Yeah.
Right. Educate us. That's what our
Man.
platform's
Because
for.
we want to, educate our audience and want them to know,
For real.
So also regarding vapes, the process, like tell us all of it.
The
everything.
process can vary, right? There's people who are using CO2. There's people who are doing like fresh rosin. There's different types of vapes out there. I will say this. I do not like anything that requires a chemical to extract from it.
That part.
To me, you're not getting the most natural product. And it's really important to me that I'm as close to the cannabis, as close to the plant as possible. And you can have some of these machines creating this product and they'll tell you, we reclaimed 99% of the chemical that we use to extract the THC, but that means there's still 1%. And I'm just not cool with that.
And that's-
Some people are.
Right.
And that's opinion and a personal preference, right?
It is.
So
It
don't get that confused.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a personal thing. And I mean, price plays a factor in all of this, right? Because cannabis should be financially accessible to different communities.
Ain't no question.
And unfortunately, the products where you are chemically extracting things are more financially feasible for certain communities to afford.
Mm.
Are any vapes good?
In
Yes.
your opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
In your opinion.
Yeah. We're getting ready to launch a vape. I'm pretty happy about it. I'm pretty proud of
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Is it the live rosin way?
It is a live rosin.
Because I figured you was going to probably say the live
Yeah.
rosin is the best way.
It is a live rosin. It's not out yet. I'll have to bring it the next time
For sure.
Why are you going?
There will be a
live
next
rosin way?
time.
Why the live rosin way?
because we don't believe in chemicals, and also more flavor. Honestly, more flavor. That's really what it is. We want more flavor, and we want it to be as close to the flavor of our flower as possible.
So when you say flavor, you mean as far as tasting like the bud or like that artificial?
Tasting like the bud.
Okay.
Terps
Because people think sometimes people think I'm crazy because like I like my weed to taste like weed.
Amen.
Really?
I don't like that other stuff. Like I'm like, I just like it to taste and look like weed. Like I like the funky old man smell. Like
Agreed.
it's just what you know what I'm saying? Like I just feel like that's home for me. The OG.
I agree.
I like it to taste edibles too. If I don't taste it in there, I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna get this again. Because
If you don't taste like them edibles, fuck you up.
Um,
You don't taste it.
Yeah.
Man, I need my edibles to have that weed taste somewhere in it.
I agree.
Like, and I might still enjoy it, but I'm not gonna prefer it.
I agree. It's so my husband and I have been married for 15 years. One of our biggest arguments is that I call weed earthy. Or I'll tell him it's got that dirt smell, and I don't think it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
So when you understand terpenes, if you like indicas, the terpenes that you like are beta caryophyllene and myrcene. Those are the
That's what Mr. Cannabis was
Mercy.
talking about.
I was
the
finna add,
myrcene,
but that's the
yeah.
name, Mercy.
and myrcene is an earthy smell.
Like the
It
OG.
smells like dirt, like earth, like outdoors. And so I like that. Beta caryophyllene is found in spices like black spice. Like it is. So these things that are terpenes, they should have these different
Earthy.
smells because they come from things that smell.
Right.
Say, what's that again? Metatophylline?
Beta caryophyllene. It took me years to say that correctly.
Metacaryophyllene.
Close enough. Right.
Close enough.
Like when it comes to the testing and just the overall industry, where do you see it going in the next few years?
Unfortunately, I see it going the wrong way.
Why is that?
So there's been a lot of recalls this past year, as you've seen.
Right.
Which means the DCC is finally catching up, and they are doing somewhat of their job and providing some oversight. But if you truly look at those recalls, in 2024, they're recalling products that were created and sold in 2023. That shit's been done smoked. It's gone. It's not even on the shelves anymore in a lot of these cases.
Mm-hmm.
And so I see it going the wrong way rather than helping us. They're upping the taxes again on cultivators this June. So it's going to expected to go up another 15%. On average, the consumer's paying 30 to 35%.
Right.
So
and we talk about that a lot, though. You know, I'll be like on the side of like, you know, when as far as business, it creates a lot of heartache for smaller business and stuff too. Like though, even with like if it get well, what do you feel about the descheduling or rescheduling? Which one would you prefer, like to deschedule or reschedule?
it's I honestly I flip flop every day because there honestly are pros and cons on each side.
Of a deschedule and reschedule?
Yeah, I do. I see pros and cons on each side of how this will go about. If you schedule it, it's in the hands of people who don't understand cannabis to schedule it, right? But then you have more pathways to medical access where you could have insurance cover copays on medical products.
But it's still, you know what I'm saying, limited and looked over.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I fall on both sides because I truly actually do believe I want certain people to have cannabis covered by their insurance.
I believe that totally.
Man, look, hold on.
Totally.
Facts.
Yeah, and I always say medical cannabis, it shouldn't even be a question.
It shouldn't.
So your pros and cons
Yeah,
for
you've
the
been pushing that too,
deschedule.
though. You know what I'm saying?
If you deschedule it, you are putting a lot of power into the state's hands of how they're going to regulate this. And I don't, again, it goes back to the people regulating it. I don't think they have an understanding of cannabis in and of itself. They don't use it regularly. They don't understand it. They've done very little research on
They
it.
don't care about it.
How are they going to regulate something? They're going to lean on taxing us more, putting more regulations on small businesses, when at the end of the day, we should be creating pathways for small farms to have little sustainable businesses off of what you can grow in your own backyard.
No question.
And the industry doesn't look how I think any of us envisioned it will look. And unfortunately, the foundation's been laid. We can't go back.
Look, this is something I think like I've missed. You know what I'm saying? So if we know what comes with the reschedule. You know what I'm saying? Meaning it's not a Schedule 1, down to Schedule 3, you know what I'm saying, along with your powerful over-the-counter medications. But with the deschedule, you know what I'm saying, we don't have to worry about none of that type stuff. But we have to worry about regionally and statewide regulations.
Exactly. And how does that all look? And right now, it's not working in California. No. Like the regulations are not working in California. We are overtaxed, overregulated. And it was the most liberal party in the state who brought this all to fruition. But we are overtaxed and overregulated because the party that's overseeing it all actually doesn't understand what they approved for sale. Like, I truly believe in a perfect world. What would legal cannabis look like in California? We would have two markets. We would have a medical market and we would have a recreational market that's not beholden to as many testing standards as the medical market because there's differences. And we would do deli style servings in stores because the consumer is going out there looking for a percentage on this package, but that's not the measuring stick. The measuring stick should be, if you open this up, does it look good? Does it smell good? Is it protected?
Right.
Like what is inside of this? And I can't show this to my customers in the store because it's against the law.
So that's actually dope, and I never seen that though
Yeah.
with the extra like
clam
double
shell?
pack. Right.
Look, that right there, like when we sat down and you was like, them for you, cuz, and I actually did what you just did,
Yep.
and I opened it and I seen that second packaging. You know what I'm saying? The secureness of it. I'm like, right on.
Right, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's like it really we can rewind back. It leaves no room, you know what I'm saying, for like damn near like irresponsibility.
Yeah.
You see it packaged and then you open it and then you see it packaged again. Like, come on, man. You know what I'm saying? If you the
Somebody
adult that
thinking,
got
yeah.
access to this, package your shit back up when you're done.
The thing that hits me is immediately when you open it, the smell hits you. And we have such a
Yeah.
great
I
smell.
smelled it from here.
Yeah.
Right.
Very proud of that, right?
Right.
If I could have consumers walk into a store and see just an ounce jar of that, smell it, and choose off of that versus a percentage that means nothing,
Right.
that's the world I live in. Like, that's where we should be for the recreational market.
Yeah,
And
right,
it would
understand.
give people a
We still
chance
do
to
that.
succeed.
Right.
Facts.
Right. I
'Cause
was
it's
I believe in that perfect world.
same.
So I will tell you how you can make that happen.
Tell us.
Tell us.
In the state
Victoria
of
for
California.
state.
Yeah,
Victoria for
Man.
state.
Right.
That's what it sounded like. Honestly, it sounds like they need someone in the lab to like really give
Like,
some
for
type
real,
of
though.
guidance or like, cause you're saying like,
so they got a new lab
People that
director who's my
care.
old boss, and I'm really excited about that happening, actually. So
Okay.
this year, the DCC just hired, he's a 6'4" black man who
Yeah.
most people have talked shit about, but he is so smart, and I'm so proud because he smokes weed.
What's his
Like,
name?
his name is Antonio Frazier, and he's going to be heading up the DCC this year, and I'm really, really excited.
that's right.
Shout out to
Yeah.
Shout out
Antonio
to
Frazier.
him.
And I
Round
want
of
to see
applause
what
for
you got to,
him.
you know what I'm saying, what
For
you got to bring.
Yep.
Right. So
He taught me so
Looking
much
forward
about what
to
I
it.
know.
Sure.
so he's shooting for that.
So I think when you have people who understand cannabis in positions of power, you get better regulation.
I believe that.
Right.
But for consumers out there, we have our local congressmen and congresswomen. And the thing about congressmen and congresswomen is they're only allowed to serve for 2 years in our Congress.
You can't get nothing done in that amount of time.
You can.
Okay. Okay.
So locally, because they want to maintain more than 2 years, they're more involved in their local communities. They're listening more to you. And we could be talking to them about the things that matter to us when it comes to cannabis regulation. They'll listen to your calls if enough of us are calling and saying we want something done. But we're not calling and talking about that because in the big scheme of things, does cannabis matter when I'm paying $8 for eggs? Does cannabis matter when you're overtaxing my gas? But if you want to see change on any of those things, that's how you make the change. You do
Right.
have to talk to those people.
Right.
And we don't want to, but we have to make it happen.
Yep. For sure. For sure.
So it sounds like these regulations were meant to screw the consumer.
100%.
A
Right.
1,000%. And why do you feel like, in your opinion, that is?
Especially with these fires going on. And I know how much money, like, we've dropped off $400,000 or $500,000 in cash in taxes to the city. Where is this money going? At the end of the day, I'm paying all these taxes. I really don't see it going back into the state. I don't see it going back
Right.
into the education about cannabis that we should be giving the kids.
Right.
I don't see where the money is going.
and they popularized that as far as with all the hardships that's going on in the industry. They talk about how much money is being made.
Yep.
What they say going into this year, it should be what 50 billion made.
Yes,
But it's like, where's the money really going?
right?
We talk about that even with equity
the time.
programs and
Yep.
stuff, because I believe in equity programs.
Same.
I think they can help. You know what I'm saying? But if it's not nothing being put into them,
Yeah.
we stuck.
I only halfway believe it. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? It's like if it works.
That's probably
you know what I'm
why
saying?
though, because it's the money not going there.
Yeah, and that's why the halfway comes in at, you know what I'm
Yep.
saying? Because it's like I don't see like the results of it. We had the plug here, you know what I'm
Yep.
saying? And like how she say like some of the things that like she do with the nonprofit, and then like she actually go back and she can see the benefits of that. You know what I'm saying? You'd be like, oh yeah, I'm definitely for it.
Right.
But when you offer something and it's like you don't see no benefit of it, it's like, what am I like happy
Right.
for?
Yeah, and I'm not happy about any part of legalized cannabis, like honestly, other than the fact that, yeah, there's stores.
Right.
Honestly, same. I try to hesitate on like speaking about it too much because I'm like, I'm not trying to say, hey, everyone go black market or nothing like that. But I'm not too happy about it. Like, I love the convenience it kind of gives you in a way, but that's about it. I'll be honest.
Yeah,
that's
But look, I'm gonna say from now on, me personally, and us the best way to smoke, we messing with AJ.
Hey,
you know what I'm saying?
right.
That's how you know we be on the same page.
Right.
I was like, can I say something? Like,
Right. No,
we
for
got to
real.
this point, and if y'all ain't like rocking with AJ's just off of talking points,
So,
Man.
I appreciate
Just off
that.
the fact
real.
that you ain't just smoking anyone's stuff, you're like,
and it's
like we
it's
got the
properly
lab
tested.
expert in here. What? We only
Right.
just okay. We rocking with
same
AJ.
tip. We have our own session. It ain't, you know what I'm saying? You won't even catch it. Probably passing around, be like,
Right. Nobody.
For yourself, yeah.
You the light.
Right.
Look, let's talk a little bit about logistics. Like, so what are the biggest logistic challenges you face in cannabis distribution, and how do you overcome them?
The biggest challenges in distribution are forecasting, honestly. The stores, their demands, it fluctuates, right? One store can be popular, really popular one month, and all of a sudden it's not popular the next month. So just forecasting about where my weight is going to go and how many bags and who's going to get what, that's the biggest thing for logistics planning. And then the delivery of them is somewhat easy, though I do feel like it's a little overregulated. Some of the regulations that we have regarding transportation of cannabis.
Right.
Yeah, it makes sense, right? They're trying to detract theft, and I get it. We're going to be a high theft, but listen, if I don't tell anybody I'm leaving in what car, nobody going to know.
Right.
It doesn't need to be this special van that you've invested $75,000 in to be able to deliver things.
Right.
And unfortunately, those are the extra expenses the state puts on distributors like us.
So basically, they kind of like limit how much can be transported and stuff like that.
So no, I don't have a limit on what can be
okay.
transported because as long as it's manifested on a metric manifest, it can be in my vehicle, right? As much as my vehicle can possibly fit. But it has to go through metric. And metric is a blessing and a curse in so many ways.
Right.
I love the idea of metric, of being able to track and trace everything in the state, knowing where everything is going. But certain things in it are super redundant, and it's a waste of money, and it's actually creating physical waste. That's hurting the state of California, like single-use plastic type things.
Right.
Metric is a pain, but it's also good.
Okay. Blessing and a curse. That's
Blessing.
right.
For sure. So how do you track like inventory and ensure accurate product movement through your supply chain?
Through metric.
Huh.
Everything is done through metric. So when we started as a cultivator, we said, for instance, we had 5,000 seeds. Each of those seeds was tracked. Every time I planted them, I created a package in metric that gave it a specific UID. Then when that plant grew to a certain level, it changed to another package, which got another UID. There's a lot of administrative movement when it comes to legal cannabis. And like metric is not something that offered training. It's not something that ever existed before, so nobody knew how to use it.
It's like, here, do this.
That's
Man.
exactly what happened.
Sink or swim. Sink or
Really.
swim.
So if you can be a metric expert in this industry, like you'll always have a job. And that's where I've excelled, is even though I was in testing, once the testing labs kind of fell apart, I was like, let me just lean on my metric skills.
Right.
And my husband brought me into the brand with his partners and said, just do metric. And I am that person who likes to have a lot to do. So I said, oh, well, if we're going to distribute this, let me figure out all of this and all of this. And all of a sudden, we went from 3 stores to 83 stores and had to figure out the production to accomplish all of that.
That's beautiful growth right there.
Man,
for sure.
Shout out to couples in business. Okay.
Man, look, and with that growth right there, like I know your husband is not here, you know what I'm saying, the co-answer with you. You know what I'm saying? But as far as AJ's and for you to be right here like today with like the goodness of the company. What are some of the defining struggles that you guys went through?
God, we're still going through them right now.
Man.
So at the end of 2024, we actually laid off some staff and made some cuts because I think that the next part of our growth is realizing you have to think of it as a business. You can't hire friends. You need to
Right.
What's that?
have more knowledge and management over your numbers and your cogs. So all of us as partners are actually just elevating to this next level of business. It's interesting, it's challenging, and I think we're like on the verge of success. Like we're at that point where if we can master this, like we'll get there. We'll make a lasting brand.
Mm-hmm.
Facts.
I like that train of thought. I like that train of thought, but like me just listening, you already at, you know what I'm saying, a level of success. It's just like it seems as if you guys are just trying to climb it like a little bit higher. You know what I'm saying? But me on the consumer side of cannabis, like just a little information you offering right now just through your product, it's like, man, you already at a success level.
Right. You
You
are
know what I'm
like
saying?
That.
And you got more
Leaps.
customers coming for sure.
I hope so.
For
I
sure.
appreciate that. I mean, I appreciate
Facts.
hearing that. But when I think about my everyday, like we're not too far off from like, check to check. I got a little savings, some stuff, but we're not by any means where I want to be in life. And I am really trying to create like wealth for my kids. That's what it is.
I feel
But
that.
and that's the struggle of the
Right.
cannabis industry with the legalization and stuff like that. It's like one day, like the doors is open, next day it might be closed. You don't know, and it comes like you said. Y'all just had to cut staff. It's like restructuring. We got to restructure, like refocus, and kind of get things, to where they need to be until we could like blast off. You know what I mean? I wish these higher ups would just get their shit together.
Man.
You know what I'm saying? So this industry can really flourish and stuff. You know what I mean?
Me too.
We're gonna manifest it for you for sure. Because
For us,
For
shit,
us.
Yes.
all of
Real.
us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
'Cause
Really.
it's-
it's coming.
One thing I do want to say, like to the community, you know what I'm saying, in whatever part of the cannabis like community you're in, learn about it. You know what I'm saying? Know your regulations, this, that, and the other. So once a pivot needs to come, you will know how to pivot. You know what I'm saying? And keep it pushing. You won't pivot and fall back. So just stay up to date on stuff.
Yeah. And how do you stay informed about changes in cannabis regulations and implement necessary adjustments?
The DCC website, the Department
That's
of
right.
Cannabis Control. Literally, I'm probably on that website every day. Just looking at what's been recalled, all the things that they don't really want to talk about publicly. It's there. You just got to look on their
Just gotta
website.
find it.
Okay, for sure.
DCC website, Department of Cannabis Control, right?
Yes. And then also, obviously, like lots of publications. I have cannabis as like one of the hot search words. So anytime there's a new cannabis article that comes up, Google sends me a notification. I get the new article. I read everything.
I'm gonna tap into that too, though.
Yeah.
As far as like looking at that, like the different recalls and stuff
The
like that.
recalls up there is
'Cause I just
crazy.
been on Ganjapreneur. I ain't gonna even run.
And that's okay. But it's
It's
the
not that.
base level.
Yeah, it's not
the base
that.
level.
Right.
Yeah.
That's where it's at, though. So, what are your procedures? You know, what I'm saying, when handling recalls on products discrepancies.
We have had no recalls. Thank God.
That's right.
AJ, that's another reason to go rock with AJ.
Man, and look, because we talk all the time. No, we love supporting dispensaries and stuff like that, though. But a lot of the times you go in there, it's not the quality that you're looking for. You know what I'm saying? So we tend to black market though. But like,
Fair.
Mr. Cannabis is the one that put me up on AJ's, right? And since then, I've been rocking with AJ's. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I said from now on, I'm rocking with AJ's
Thank you.
because we don't know what we're getting from the black market either, though. You know what I'm saying? As
Man.
far as the pesticides and all that,
Really?
based off what she's saying. I'm
So
like, damn.
we're in a few stores, right? But one of our biggest partners right now is Catalyst, March and Ash.
Shout out to Catalyst. Yeah.
You can find us there, but Catalyst is honestly, they're the ones who put us on. They started us in 3 stores, and 3 of their, if you can sell through like Pomona and San Bernardino, like you got a solid brand, and we did really well there. So they brought us into more of their stores. And Catalyst is another reason why I tested our product to category 4. because Elliot, the CEO,
Yeah.
began really talking about what it mean, and he started understanding it. And I will say, for me, I took that with a grain of salt because he's been in the industry long enough to he should have been having these conversations, right?
Right.
But regardless, he had the conversation, he learned from it, and he tried to put people on. So I kind of try to meet there, and I did that testing too to be like, yeah, I can pass Cat 4.
Right. And I seen on his page when like a lot of the recalls was happening last year, he started doing some testing and stuff too, and he was naming off certain brands that didn't pass or did pass and stuff like that. He really kind of dove into it and stuff like that, and that was interesting, you know, because I was watching it. You know what I mean?
It was a very interesting thing to play out, and I actually
Right.
think it's still playing out because a lot of
Yes.
those recalls are still happening.
Yep.
Man.
I want to rewind a little bit. You know what I'm saying? If you're comfortable asking a question and
course.
giving out the game, you know what I'm saying, you get the game. You know what I'm saying? As far as like your cultivation aspect, you know what I'm saying? You know, like you going through, you keeping it clean. We already know that aspect. The surrounding areas, you know what I'm saying? Like, what's the cleaning process, you know what I'm saying, with that?
So we do our best to keep the outside of the building clean, right? Actually, a big problem for indoor grows can be carry over from your neighbors.
Hmm.
So the way we have to zone our businesses, we're in industrial areas. So like I'm right across the street from a t-shirt maker. They're bringing in raw materials that could have microbials and things like, and actually pesticides, because pesticides are used in cotton growing.
Cotton for sure.
And so if they're not doing the proper things in their facility, it will carry over just because of the wind to my facility right across the street. So we have to have like air scrubbers and things like that in our facility to make sure we're not intaking everything from the outside area. And that's like a good air scrubber is at least $150,000 investment.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Top of the line filters and everything else.
All of
things
it.
Coming, man.
Shout
And
out
you
to
have to
you
change
guys.
those regularly. So we have experienced failures because again, cannabis should grow mold every once in a while because of the environment. And when
Right.
we've experienced them, we do environmental swabbing where I have my team go and they swab areas and they're like, yep, it came from there. They clean it. It doesn't
Yeah.
happen again.
Yeah, and I'm familiar with that one right there
Yeah.
because it's like certain areas we'll like in the past job, you know what I'm saying, we'll go abate an area of
Yep.
asbestos.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And within this, you know what I'm saying, within an hour, you know what I'm saying, just your air filter. That air filter is changed like depending on the area size,
Mhm.
4 times in an hour.
Yep.
Every 15 minutes,
Yep.
this air filter is changed. If you can, there's a strong
Yep.
possibility if you go 16, 17 minutes, your air can be contaminated. You know what I'm saying? Your area can be contaminated.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So it's a precise time, you know what I'm saying? You have to do certain things concerning this air quality, this, that, and the other. You know what I'm saying? And especially, you know what I'm saying, stuff coming in.
Actually, you have a really good understanding of what we do actually.
Man,
to
that's
clean
why I'm
and
saying I
test for
need to be,
things.
I'm kicking myself in the back of the, you know what? You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, dang, man, you know this.
On the real. You should have told me. No.
Right.
Myself.
Whole time we had a scientist on our hands.
right.
But like, man, it's like it gets serious like that. I understand, like speaking with you now, you know what I'm saying? I understand certain technicalities of it.
You putting
You
two
know what I'm
and two
saying? And
together.
the importance of
That's
it.
right.
Let me
That's
tell you,
very
those black
important.
market grows definitely had asbestos in them sometimes.
Mm.
Back in the day, for sure.
Ooh.
And the stuff don't catch up. It's not like you smoke it today and then now you feeling the effects of it. It could be 20, 30 years down the line.
That
Man.
part.
And then it hits you like, damn,
That part.
shit.
I'm
Acute long term something.
Right.
yeah, literally. You just don't know. And yeah, I'm interested to see where this industry goes.
Me too.
Okay.
Me too, for sure, for sure. Now, as far as like white labeling and stuff, you said your company is into white labeling
We do.
and stuff like that. So, like, what are the potential benefits of white labeling cannabis products, if any?
I'm going to say for a regular person who does not own a license and you just want to start your own brand, there's no benefits.
Okay.
Like straight up, it's way expensive for you. But if you are a retail license and you don't have a cultivation, there is a huge benefit in white labeling for you.
Right.
house brands, people have looked at them as lower quality, but the reality is house brands are the most affordable price for consumers, right? So there are retailers that I white label for, like Gorilla RX. And what Gorilla RX is doing, and they're an equity social store.
heard
And
of
so if
them.
you buy Gorilla RX, you're buying an AJ's flower.
Right.
They're buying my flower at my base cost, and I'm putting it in their packaging. They're doing all the distribution, marking it however they want, but they're getting the lowest cost of flower. For me, I am also very competitive in price because I try to be as consumer friendly in price as possible. So we wholesale this eighth at between $17 and $18 to retailers. Ideally, they should be marking it up at 2.5 times. So it should be between $40 to $45 at most out the door. With tax included in that, it should be $45.
Right.
Now, does that always happen? No, I have no control over the retailers. But I put it at that wholesale price because I purposely don't have a window on this bag because that would have cost more money, right? I do
Yeah.
this in a Mylar because a jar is more expensive than a Mylar bag. I
Right.
try to pass all my savings on to my consumers. And that's what house brands are trying to do. If I'm, a rapper who wants to start my own brand or whatever, and I don't have any access to any licenses, I'm charging you for the price of the weed. You're also paying for the packaging, and then you have to have a sales team that can go out and sell it for you.
Mm.
It's not worth it. It's not worth it. You have to have
Right.
access to a license.
Mm.
So you're saying like, so if you had like say if like an influencer or rapper or something along that lines wanted to get their own like white label some weed, like
I don't think it's worth it.
okay.
There needs to be like, now if the deal between you and the distributor is like a collaboration and there's profit sharing, then yeah, it might be worth it.
Mhm.
But otherwise the cost is too high. I'm actually doing this for a couple of brands right now, and some of them don't have access to a license, and I'm like, I'm making money off of you, but I don't see how this is sustainable when your markup is only $2.
Right.
Like that can't be covering your overhead now.
Right.
What if they come into like a white label, not as far as a profit market, you know what I'm saying? But just as I just want to really like get my name put out there for a different reason, you know what I'm saying? But this is some buzz.
Then understand it's one of those break even or lose a little
Or
bit of money
lose.
things.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Like we operated this last year, actually, a lot of our products we gave away, we did discounts on, and it was a loss leader because we were establishing market presence or wanted to get our name out there. So you give shit away.
Right.
So you just have to understand what your goals are, right? But with the economy and everything, I'm like, it wouldn't be the time that I launched a personal cannabis brand.
Mm.
Hey, man, this is some good game. This is some good
Man.
information for people that want to step into this industry in any aspect, though, man. This is I'm definitely enjoying this conversation.
So
though.
guess
Right.
what? If you at this part in the video, like and comment.
Man, subscribe and
tell a
make
friend.
sure you tell a friend.
I love it.
For real, look though, and then too though, like we always do, man. We want to give a shout out to Warrior Water, man. It's the best water on the market.
That's right.
AC Green.
Oh man.
I'm
So-
loving this knowledge that you're dropping today for sure, because you're not even just like you're backing it up, like you're selling product, but you're also backing it up with information. So I appreciate the conversation for sure.
And this another little side note too, though, like how you explained your AJ's packaging. You know what I'm saying, through like the testing and all the stuff, like you like the confidence you guys have behind your product. You know what I'm saying? I always tell cuz a lot, like if I'm going somewhere and they charging like $40, $50 something dollars for a product of an eighth, and if it's worth it, you know what I'm saying, I wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But if it's something and it's like you asking for this and it's not worth it, like come on now. But AJ's it's worth it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
It's worth it.
I believe it because I done blew on a lot of different
Me too.
strains too.
Like I have too. You know what I'm saying?
real.
I can't tell you that like I told you on the phone, I can't tell you the exact strain, you know what I'm saying, that actually came to me, but I just know it was AJ's and I was hot in the motherfucker.
I appreciate that. I love that.
That black amber.
Yeah,
I like the
that's
black amber and
tasty.
stuff though. I
Very
still got
tasty.
some of
That's
that.
probably what it was. I don't know. I was hot in the motherfucker.
What's crazy is I believe that was one of our tester strains. So like we test certain strains and like we have certain criteria if it'll make it into a bag. And that one didn't make into a bag, but it was still good.
The Black Amber didn't
Yeah.
make it? What?
I mean, we have
So
criteria.
y'all got some shit then.
we have
If that didn't make it into the bag, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
We have
shit.
so it not only does it have to smoke good, but it has to look good too. It's got to have bag appeal. It's got to have the right color. There's a lot of different things that go into whether or not that strain actually makes it into a bag.
And that didn't make it into a bag.
It didn't make it into a bag.
That's
Right.
right, though.
Cause I done had two batches of it, and one batch was actually a little darker than
Yep.
the other batch.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? But they both still taste the same to me though.
They do, and that's another thing. Like our test batches it's not like we're running it one time and saying, okay, we're gonna put that into a bag.
Right.
No, we're running it twice to see what the consistency is, at least twice, and to see if it's gonna yield well. All of these things that we'd consider before we actually say we're gonna put this on our menu regularly.
Right.
This is on our menu regularly. This is our Don P. It's our ADL Runts. And ADL Runts is a LCG and Runts cross. And
Right.
it's two of people's favorites. They like it and always looks good, always smells good. So
Right.
it made it into a bag.
So we know you rocking with all of the AJ strains though, but is there one? Is that the one? Or is there another one that's your top?
I'm sold out of it. I don't get any until until February 7th. But my favorite is Moscato. It's our pie scream. It's a pie scream. And it was in development for like 5 months before we dropped it. And if we have it, it's the only thing I smoke.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
I gotta let us know when you have it again.
I will.
February 7th.
February 7th.
Okay.
I want your professional opinion, you know what I'm saying, to talk to the white ash smokers.
It's, I think, a silly part of the conversation, but it's not. At the same time, to me, the white ash just goes to whether or not the cure was good. I don't think you can tell from ash color whether there were pesticides or anything left in it. And I've spent a lot of time around people who have masters and PhDs in cannabis testing.
Right.
And the general consensus is if it's darker ash, it's because the weed's still a little too wet. Not
That's
cured
simple.
well enough.
Nothing else, people. That's it.
Okay.
I mean, it's up for debate, but that's my opinion of it. It's just not cured well.
That's right.
Now can a not cured part of a batch be within a batch? Meaning, like, if I get me like a quarter ounce, you know what I'm saying, and this 3.5, you know what I'm saying, I smoke, I may get some white ash, but I ain't high.
Yes.
This 3.5, I got some dark ash, but I'm high as a mug.
That can absolutely happen, right? Because when you think about how we dry cannabis in a room, it's dried on racks. The room is not always homogeneous in temperature. So you can have areas that are going to dry more than others. I mean, we try to get it as homogeneous as possible, but shit happens.
That's that moody batch, huh?
Pretty much. But that's where things like burping and stuff come in. Like, you should be looking at your packs and then, are they cured enough? Okay, and this needs one more day, whatever. Like, look at your stuff.
Gotta open burping.
Yeah. I heard that like years ago. I don't know. It was either between my older brother and Lebo.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I had some stuff. They were like, man, you gotta burp that. I'm like, burp it? What you
Open
talking
them up.
about? They're like, man, just crack the jar.
Yeah.
a little air in there, just a little bit.
Man,
I remember that shit.
for real though. So like, what's next for AJ's?
Hopefully, a retail store and some more growth this year. So we're launching more products.
That's coming.
We've got actually a 5-pack of pre-rolls called I Got 5 on it.
I love
That's
that.
right.
I love me a
That's
5
right.
pack. I love me a little pack.
Thank you. I'm
right.
excited about it. It's in a little glass jar, so we're getting ready to launch that. We've got our vapes that are coming probably in Q2 of this year. I'm getting ready to drop our first ever limited edition 8ths in a jar. I'm really excited about that. So we've got new products.
I got a lot of good things coming.
Yeah, we do. A lot of good.
AJ.
Let the people know like where they can find AJ's, where y'all located, everything.
So find us on our Instagram. We're at ajsflowerco.com. Well, not .com. I apologize. But we're on Instagram, AJ's Flower Company. But you can find us in Catalyst. You can find us in March and Ash. We're in OG Nation. We are in 83 stores in Southern California. And if you find us on Weed Maps, try us. If you hit me up and you're local to me, I will respond. I probably will hook you up with some weed.
That's right, Victoria.
For sure, man.
Victoria for cannabis president.
Right.
Bottom line.
Man,
That's way approved. Right. That's way approved.
Man, and we definitely gonna do this again. Like I said, we got something good coming, and we can get on there and kind of cut a little loose. You know what I'm saying? A little more looser though. You know
I
what mean?
enjoyed spending time with you guys, so I look forward to that.
For sure. So look, like we tell y'all all the time, man, we appreciate y'all for tapping in with us, man. This was a great, informative episode. This is Big J.
Serpo, your favorite smoking partner.
And your professional hype woman, C Pop. We'll catch you next time.
Shout out to Victoria, AJ.
Yep, like, comment, and subscribe. You heard?